you're a bad boy, go away. You know? And then only a few years later, he wins the big award, the Lifetime Achievement. And he taught me a little bit about doing the necessary things. Doing what I had to tell the story and not letting some of the window dressing get in the way. Be careful of the window dressing. Don't do stuff to just do stuff. Only do things to a project that adds to it. You know? And that's a weird gray area, folks. You know, you don't know when you cross that line until you've passed it. You know, you won't know it until you've gone too far. You know? Hopefully I'll be able to tell you something every now and then. If you can next week, bring the started piece. Let me look at it. Let me throw you 10 seconds of advice or something like that. You know, and it's not going to hurt at all. You know, we have 2 weeks to do each one of these. Week 3 will be the hands. Week 5 will be the arms, the shoulder girdle. Week 7, the torso. We'll do the middle joint. The torso. 9 is the legs. Boy, time will fly. And the last will be the skull. Mandible is stuck on them. But my advice is as soon as you can, go down to whatever lab, up to whatever lab or whatever, set the type. Find some books on anatomy. I need the carpal group. They all have names, the pisiform, whatever form, this thing, that, the other. The metacarpals. I'd set the call-up information. But acetate is kind of nice if you can get Kinko's or someone to do it because you see through it better. But you can also see through regular paper, you know, in a light table. It works. The window works really well in the daylight. It's something. You got to do the type, man. It's nighttime. You know? So if you got to do the type IRB, you're going to use the big one at home. Do it in the daylight. Otherwise, you're going to have to park the car out there in the parking garage. Turn the lights on. You know, it's just not going to work as well. So, and the little light boxes that some of us have, one of the problems is that, you know, you've got to be careful because they're little. What goes on is as you try to work on something, you end up creasing the paper because you kind of put it over the edge of something like that. Ideally, when this is done, the paper should look as pristine. I don't think these look as good anymore because they've been, I normally keep these things in my attic. I don't keep them around or the house much. I have other crap on my walls. I don't have much wall space. But we'll get to that. The paper should look as pristine. All you've done is put your drawing on it. You know, things that have fingerprints all over them and they're creased. Be careful of transporting your work from home to here. Don't kind of roll it up and put it in the back seat and then, you know, like put a rhinoceros back there. You know, some of us move around with our animals, and you know, if you've got a pet rhinoceros, don't put it in the back seat with your art. You know, figure out some way to get it from here to there. Some of our bags, you know, these portfolio bags we have, we've been using them for a while, and stuff is getting dirty in there. Things are getting messy, so I would do something to once again protect the work, so that it can't get messed up just in the transport. Did a watercolor for some company a long time back, and this is, once again, a lot of these are long time back stories. It was a piece that was in watercolor. I was driving an MGB at the time, which is a little convertible sports car, and they always, no matter how new or whatever the roof is, the top on them, they're always going to leak. And it was springtime in Houston, it was raining cats and dogs, and I had to call the guy up that wanted his project and say, you can have it if you send somebody to get it. Because I'm driving in a little car and it's not, you know, watercolor in the rain isn't a good move. And they came out and got it from me. They were happy to do that. You know? They just wanted to make sure nothing happened to their good project. And I wanted them to have a good project and not wonder what happened to it in the trip. You know, so watch out for, you know, transporting your work. You know, you kill yourself on these things, you knock yourself out. You know, I had a student who did a really good project, and I just did it badly a few minutes ago. In the tearing out of the pad, guess what happened?
Tore it in half.
The tear was in obviously the wrong place. And that's, you know, it's your portfolio, folks. You know, you work hours and hours on these things. You want to be careful of it. You know, cautious of that. You know, well in advance of the problem. Boy. I'm trying to think, what else can I tell you? What can I give you to jumpstart you? Have you an idea here, a glimpse of a thought? Feel safe with this thing yet? Is it too scary?
Way too scary.
No, I guarantee you this is going to be hours of work. If it isn't hours of work, either you're a genius or you're going to get a bad grade, one or the other. I can't, if I could do it faster, I would tell you. I can't. There's a question.
Do you have to use a gesso and that kind of thing? When do you use the gesso? When do you have to doctor the paper before you start on it? Just buy the 80-pound paper and jump
on
in.
paper, I almost, well, it depends on what you're going to put on that paper. Okay, I'm a painter. I paint acrylics, oils, water, whatever. I always let the problem dictate the medium. I would use gesso, of course, if I'm going to work in oils because I've got to totally protect the surface. Okay, because I can put oil paint on paper, but oil will rot the paper. The oil medium itself will rot the paper. Even acid-free papers, it will kill it or destroy it over
What
time.
about the oil pastels? Same
That
problem?
you probably then have to have some kind of a quality material and have a protection on it, yes. Oil pastels will eventually. The other thing is, time out, folks, is as quickly as humanly possible, and this may be the other side of the equation here, as quickly as humanly possible in all of these pieces is I want you to digitize them. Take good photographs of them digitally. Scan them digitally or something like that. Because work on paper, well, it has to be protected like something real. Glass or frames or something like that. Or, because rhinoceroses are everywhere. Stuff like that's everywhere. The mice make a home in them. Things like that. So if you don't protect them somehow, they're gone. And of course, you will not put original pieces in your portfolio. The people that you show it to won't take the responsibility. I used to have one portfolio. One of mine was everything was put behind laminated acetate, so that I virtually could put those pieces in my dishwasher and clean them if I ever needed to. They were that secure. Mainly because people they got a couple. What happens is you drop your work off, the portfolio goes into some big conference room or something like that. How far are your bottles? And there's this wonderful art director with his cup of coffee, and he goes, "Oh, that's nice." And the cup of coffee is poured into your portfolio or something like that. And so if it's original work in there, it just becomes a disaster or a mess.
That's something I wanted to ask you about. Do we have to have everything really fine, pure white paper, really nice,
No. The question a little while ago is watercolor or ink and pastels or ink and charcoal, something like that. The color paper, the medium is up to you.
Okay, but if I had a really distinct look, I wanted to do if I wanted to burn the edges or put
I've
little
had
rips in
people
it.
have done that before.
Okay, so if I really did want coffee rings on it, I could put some in.
Yeah,
Okay.
and make sure it works for the piece.
Right.
Yeah, not that it I'm gonna just have coffee rings on everything, so so I'll always make that's my signature, that kind of thing. No,